Welcome back on the channel, guys. VST here and Tech. What you're gonna see in this video is a photo comparison from a full-frame DSLR, the Canon EOS 5D from 2005, right, released 17 years ago. On the left-hand side on the screen, and on the right we have the Xiaomi Ultra, a modern smartphone from 2023 using the Sony IMX 991-inch sensor. So first things first, you're gonna see some samples, some stills. You have time to stop and evaluate and just see what is better, what you really find more aesthetically pleasing. And in the second part of the video, I'm gonna go into some pixel peeping and just try to see, which of these devices did better. Now, something I want to set straight, guys. This is no battle, no real proper comparison, because it's not really correct to compare something really 70 years ago with something that is used right now. But I was interested to do so because we all know that Sony IMX 1-inch sensor and phones like this, like Oppo, like the Xiaomi and others, few others, are just now starting to use these sensors, and even the rumors are that the sensors are gonna grow inside, and you have this physical sensor size bundled together with some AI computing, and of course then you get some great photos. And I wanted to see how this stacks up if you just buy a very old school full frame with no fancy settings, no AI, no night mode, no HDR, no stacks, nothing. And the Canon EOS 5D is probably among one of the cheapest full frame devices you can buy, and of course it's 70 years old. So alright, enjoy these photos, guys, and let me know what you think down below in the comments. Now, both devices are shooting 12 megapixel, right? The Xiaomi Ultra is binning 48-4, so it's 12 megapixel. The Xiaomi Ultra has a 23mm of a focal length, and what you see on the screen with the Canon EOS 5D is shot on a 28mm Canon lens. Alright, so this was really the best that I was able to find to kind of somehow match the focal length. And if you're interested into comparison, so you can just see how this all compares, so enjoy what you see on the screen, guys. And if you like content like this, don't forget to sub on the channel.
And we're starting with the very first sample. On your left hand side you can see the Xiaomi Ultra. The shutter speed was 1/2400, the f was 1.9. You know that the Xiaomi Ultra supports 2 f-stops. 1.9 apparently is the biggest one, taking more light, which was probably not necessary for this type of shot. ISO was set to 50, guys, and I'm using here the auto mode. Now that's interesting because on the right hand side you'll find the Canon EOS 5D, and there is no auto. Okay, there is an auto mode, but I'm not using it, guys. So I used here the program shift mode. So apparently using an f10 aperture f-stop, which is a rather small one, which kind of makes sense for this scene. Manual ISO of 200 and a shutter speed of 1/1000, and you can just see also the 28mm lens here, guys. I'm not sure why we have here 8.7. This is indeed a 23mm from the main camera, and it's very interesting, guys. The color rendition is really different on what we see on the Xiaomi Ultra and also on the Canon EOS 5D. And I just see it, by the way, now when I started pixel bipping, there is a bonus thing here on the airplane in the very left corner, which is absolutely a bonus to this pic, and as you can see, perfectly stopped in time, no blur whatsoever. Both shots look great. The Xiaomi Ultra has the tendency to overexpose a bit of things, and the Canon EOS 5D with these settings was not really doing the best into the exposure, so the shot is a bit underexposed. But given the fact that we don't really have some complex HDR here, still I guess the clouds look very, very nice. You can just see here these fluffy clouds. And if we have to pixel peep a bit more, if I pick and zoom up on this umbrella here, now definitely there is a bit more detail on the shots from the Xiaomi Ultra. It's a bit more muffled, a bit more softened on the Canon EOS 5D, but overall both shots here are very pleasing to my eye. And this, guys, here is the second shot. Again, on your left hand side you will find the Xiaomi Ultra. We have some green trees here with this beautiful umbrella, which is indeed orange, then blue one and yellow one, and again I can just see the different color rendition and also somehow the sharpness coming out from the smartphone picture. Now let's just check some of the settings, guys. On the Xiaomi Ultra, and the shutter speed was almost 1/1000, f 1.9 f-stop, and the ISO was set to 50, 200 ISO on the Canon EOS 5D. The f was 5.6, so bit wider than compared to last shot, and the shutter speed was 1/230. Again, those are here settings I use with the program Shift, so apparently I'm just moving things around to try to capture a nice shot. Now if we try to zoom in here and start pixel peeping, in this particular shot I would not say that the smartphone will be actually having more details. In fact, quite the contrary. We can just see, for example, this handle here. It's a bit more represented here with more detail compared to what the smartphone was able to capture. And also there is something I really like the natural bokeh that appears on sensors. That's quite visible here, so you can just see how the focus spot here was right on somewhere here, and then going a bit more soft here, and we have this object a bit more blurred as to what is shot on the Xiaomi 13 Ultra is crystal clear. We can also explore a bit of details here. Now I would say that I find the both of those images appealing. The photos from the smartphone in general have sometimes a bit more detail, right? And that's kind of normal. Like, okay, it's higher megapixel, it's been to 4, so it's 48, been to 4, like 12 megapixel. Here this is exactly only 12 megapixel, and don't forget, it's come from 2005, so 17 years ago. But sometimes the thing's just a bit more harsh, more sharpened for my taste, and I in general prefer sharper images, not really, you know, over sharpened, but I just want things to be crystal clear. But even if we just zoom in on the leaves here, you can just see how well the Canon EOS 5D preserved the details, and you can just clear separation leaf to leaf, and it's the same, I guess, also on the Xiaomi. Now let's continue with the next photo. Alright guys, the next photo is probably one of the best I wanted to show in this session here. Why? Okay, let me unzoom. I think I just was lucky to be on the perfect spot, had the perfect sun, and also of course these dark clouds. Now let's check what has happened here. The Xiaomi used 1/1600 for shutter speed, again using the f1.9 f-stop, ISO 50, and on the Canon 5D we have a f9 stop. The 1/800 shutter speed, ISO was set to 200, guys. Now what do I see? Honestly, for me this shot is more preferable. I realized that it's probably a bit underexposed, but the shot on the Xiaomi 13 Ultra is probably a bit overexposed, so ideally something in the middle would have been perfect. Now of course we have RAW on both of these cameras, guys, so with RAW, you know, we can try to change these things. You can play with the highlights, you can play with the shadows, you can also change the white balance, and you can just get the perfect picture. But just in this particular shot I find the footage from DSLR to be a bit more appealing. And also the colors, guys, if we look at the skin tones, they really come a bit more true to life, because I've been there, seen the people. The Xiaomi 13 Ultra has sometimes the tendency to, let's say, colorize them or just produce these very warm colors, which actually are not so realistic. Not all the times, but just sometimes. Else, again, I can only say that it's just amazing that we have this piece of technology that can do these things. Imagine 17 years ago you would have paid thousands of euros to get a lens like the one I'm using and to get a body like the Canon EOS 5D, and now with a 1000 smartphone, yeah, I pretty much know where things are going and pretty much do the same. And even if we just see how well the Xiaomi 13 Ultra handled here on the trees, right? So a bit more noise here and more lots of detail and texture on the EOS 5D, but overall it's a very pleasant shot, and this shot here is one of my favorites among all. Now let's speak about skin color and skin tone. Let's check what the Xiaomi did here. Used the shutter speed of 1/1500 with, again, the fixed stop f1.9, ISO 50 standard for this type of scenes with this light and this part of the day. The Canon EOS 5D, guys, here used a 1/640 with a f-stop of 8, again fixed ISO 200. No, you probably don't know this, but the Canon EOS 5D doesn't have auto ISO, so I'm setting this manually. Now guys, some thoughts. Now, you know how I preserve things. If I try to like align those shots, I in general believe that DSLRs, this is a full frame DSLR with the proper optics, and of course the bokeh will be really fantastic. The separation is going to be really adding spot on, and we can already see these details. It's a bit more garbled, more muffled here on the Xiaomi Ultra, and that's not a defect. I guess some AI also coming to play here, and okay, this is pretty much it. But what I don't like on the Xiaomi shot is that, again, the skin tone and the skin color seems to be not so realistic, and I'm not sure if that's because the picture somehow was overexposed, right? And the picture from the Canon EOS 5D, although again I have to agree it's a bit underexposed, it seems a bit more realistic. You can just see the proper skin tone and the skin color, and I don't know really how to explain it, but okay, it will be really best if we have something in between. As to all the object, I mean the bokeh this time on the Xiaomi was absolutely spot on. Just the separation line between the object on front of the depth of field and beyond was not perfect, but overall still great shot. I would really lean towards something like here. I want to get like these crystal clear details, guys, see, because this is really the power of the beautiful optics, which you can probably hardly replicate. That's the last sample I wanted to show you guys. The Xiaomi this time is on the right. The shutter speed is 1/260 with the f-stop of 1.9, ISO 50, ISO 200 for the Canon EOS 5D. 1/400 is the shutter speed, guys, but then we pretty much have the same observation. Now this shot is very interesting. Why? Because again, if you look at my face, the skin tone and the skin color representation is overall better. It's more true to life, more realistic, but not also my skin. Everything else here, the wood and even the clothes of the people, their faces. But if we try to zoom in a bit, you can just see that the DSLR will start to lose detail, and the Xiaomi did really amazing. I mean, even you can just see, take a look here on my t-shirt, right? Like how much more details really, okay, not so much, but how better the Xiaomi did with capturing those fine details. Like for example this here and this here, which is barely visible on the DSLR. So both shots honestly are coming great. This one is more preferred by myself. Again, I realize it's a bit underexposed, but this one here on the right from the Xiaomi seems to be a bit not so realistic. And okay, you can shoot RAW, you can probably compensate these things if you shoot RAW, so that's not a problem, guys. Anyway, it really comes very close, so I don't really have a favorite. I use both all of these devices as much as I can, so I will be really interested to see what you think about this, right? How close was the Xiaomi, or how close was the DSLR? So did the Xiaomi really beat the DSLR S, or did the DSLR from 17 years ago, you know, just return back from the past and show the Xiaomi who is the boss? Let me know, guys, what you think about it in the comments, and stay tuned for more samples. It's gonna be very interesting, I promise you. And I decided to do this series of videos where I can just show 4, 5, 10 pictures and have really the liberty to go and discuss and do a deep dive, and not throw 100 pictures at you and just, you know, leave you with any feedback whatsoever. Okay, thank you so much, guys. VST over and bye.